time. Welcome.
Yeah, you tuned in to DO Radio.
In the mix.
Play that loud, you already know.
Good evening. This is Political Paula, and Daddy or Dwayne is back in the house. Welcome back, Dwayne. Everybody missed you last week. We're glad to have you back. Okay, thanks for having us for dinner. I want to give a quick shout out. WGL.com has something up there that something in the community this week is it's Restaurant Week. We want to support our local restaurants in our community, and all the restaurants downtown, at least many of them, they're all listed on WJL.com, are inviting everyone to come down and try out restaurants you might not have tried before. Many of them have specials and price packages, so you want to make sure you go to WJL.com and check that out. We want to thank our sponsor, DL Radio, Loud Nation, and let's get started. Of course, everybody's talking about the Oscars. I thought Chris Rock was spot on, and I'm going to tell you, as a white woman, I was prepared to be insulted by Chris Rock. I was not looking forward to seeing the Oscars, and I was so pleasantly pleased by the fact that Chris Rock rocked it. I mean, he basically called it out, that this is more important than who gets a gold statue. I thought it was funny when he said that all the unemployed people in Hollywood were telling him he should quit the show, boycott the show, like they were going to cancel the Oscars if Chris Rock didn't show up. And he said, well, hell, I'm not going to quit. I need the job. I loved what he said about Jada Pinkett Smith, who started this whole brouhaha. Basically, that she has a TV show and you can't boycott something that you weren't invited to in the first place. And I was very proud of him for saying that because she is a friend of his. But I think he realized that she overdid it. And hey, we just have a guest come in. Eric is here. Eric, say hi to everybody.
Charlie Buckets in the building.
Yep. And you remember Eric from last week. He filled in for a segment, and he did a great job. A lot of the listeners commented about you, Eric. They loved you. So you are the official fill-inner. Filler-inner.
Spokesperson for Gary Johnson.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about the Oscars and Chris Rock and how he was spot on, wasn't he? He did a great job. I'm going to tell you what I really liked about what Chris Rock said, and it's important, that this is not the first time in the history of the Oscars that perhaps people of color, Hispanics, Asians, whatever, were snubbed. And yet you didn't hear all this noise, basically, about it. And Chris Rock said, to quote, we had better things to protest about. You know, grandma getting raped, dad hanging from a tree getting lynched, people not being able to vote of color, people not being able to go to school, get on a bus, drink at a water fountain. Those were important things. No one cared about who got nominated for Best Documentary Short, to quote Mr. Rock. And by the way, good job for him, too, for selling Girl Scout cookies for his Girl Scout troop. Those Thin Mints, I also do think it was funny when he said that it was not fair that Will didn't get nominated, but it also wasn't fair that he got paid $20 million to make Wild Wild West, which he also won Worst Movie of the Year for at the Raspberries. Oh, no, it's not Will Smith's fault. The bottom line is it's an Oscar. It's an award. And let's talk about some disingenuousness, first of all. Spike Lee boycotted the Oscars, but was actually given an honorary Oscar by the Academy Award Governors Board last week. Spike Lee showed up to accept the Oscar he knew he was getting, along with a white actress, Jenna Rollins, fabulous, and Debbie Reynolds. So you have Debbie Reynolds, Jenna Rollins, and Spike Lee given honorary Oscars. Spike Lee was the first person to join Jada Smith in this Oscars all-white boycott, screaming about it. But when they said, oh, Mr. Spike Lee, we're going to give you an honorary Oscar, he showed up. And he accepted the award from the very people that he spent all these months railing against for not nominating any black actors. Now let's talk about who was nominated, by the way. First category on Sunday night. It was a writing category. They did things backwards this year. Best writing, Straight Outta Compton. I'm like, I looked at my husband. I said, I thought there were no black actors or films or anything nominated this year. First category, there's a film, Straight Outta Compton, mostly black actors, black directors, black producers. It's nominated for an Academy Award. I almost fell off my chair. I don't know what Jada Pinkett Smith was thinking. And then I was talking with Mr. Bentley before the show, and we started going back over all the black actors who have actually won Academy Awards. Some of them were there Sunday night. You've got Cuba Gooding Jr. You've got, now I'm losing them all, Morgan Freeman, Halle Berry, not Wesley Snipes, the other one.
Passenger 57, man.
Yeah, no. Denzel Washington. Many, many black actors have been nominated, including Will Smith, for Ali. They've been nominated. They've won. Sidney Poitier won an Oscar. Hattie McDaniel for Gone with the Wind in a time when no black people were even invited to the Oscars, won an Oscar for her role in Gone with the Wind. So I think Chris Rock nailed it. I know Dwayne has some things he would like to discuss about racism, and I think what Chris Rock made very clear to all the people at the Oscars, as did Louis C.K. when he presented an award for Best Documentary Short.
I missed that.
Saying that all of you people out here who are going to take an Oscar home tonight, those Oscars are going home to mansions. You all have jobs tomorrow. And the people I'm presenting the award to, they may not have a job tomorrow. So there are no losers at the Oscars, and I think that's what Chris Rock and Louis C.K. were trying to say. An Oscar doesn't make you a winner. Not getting an Oscar doesn't make you a loser. What we need to do we need diversity in film? Yes, we do. And we need more diversity than just having more black films. We need diversity. We need more films made for people like me. I want to see Spotlight. You know why? Because Spotlight is about a real story. It will send a message. Those are the movies I want to watch. I don't want to watch these young whippersnappers that are coming up now. I want to watch actors my age. I want to watch Meryl Streep. I want to watch Julianne Moore, Liam Neeson, Rutger Hauer. Well, I'm saying, though, if Hollywood wants to get me to spend money to watch the shows that they make, my husband and I on Saturday night were looking through all the films to try to find a movie to watch. And he wanted to see a couple, but I was like, I don't know any of the people in this movie. It's all these young people. I don't know them. I don't particularly like them when I do see them. I want to see the people I like. So I do understand that people of color, Hispanic people, Asian people, they want to see movies that reflect people that look and sound like them. But it's not the Academy's fault that we don't have films like that. It's the producers, the movie studios, the directors, the casting agents. And let's get these kids, these young kids, kids of color, Hispanic kids, Asian kids, go study the craft and become actors. And then you will see more diversity in film. Now, Dwayne, I know we're going to kind of segue into your topic, and you said you have some.
Well, after listening to that, I'm glad I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the Oscars.
Okay.
I just saw clips.
Well, you wanted to talk about race, so let's just segue into what you worked on this week, because you said you want to talk about race.
It's perfect because it's exactly what's going on.
It's the producer's fault, not the Academy's fault.
Well, Dwayne worked on something though for.
It's race. I mean, it's this whole media race baiting shit that's going on. It's all
Rupert Murdoch
bullshit. I mean, God. I mean, do you, I got a lot of guys like here, Eric here. Let's. BLM, Eric. Okay, listen.
I just hope nobody's getting rich off BLM.
BLM is Black Lives Matter.
Oh, Black Lives Matter. Okay.
Okay, total racist movement. And, you know, the reason being is
No, you got papers.
they have they don't care about the crime that they commit upon themselves. They're not look, if you want to stop, if you want to care about your race, then care about the crime that's going on within your race.
I do agree there.
You got it. What? Like here, I took a picture of it on my phone because my eyes are so bad I can't even see the print on that paper.
That's really small print, actually. I can't even see that with my glasses on.
You know, over 1,400 more Black Americans murdered in 2 years than were lynched from 1882 to 1968. According to FBI data, 4,906 black people murdered other blacks in 2010 and 2011. And it's cut off.
That's
1,406
just in
more
Chicago?
black Americans killed by other blacks in 2 years than were lynched from, that's what I read up there. But that's an FBI data. You know, why aren't they talking about that? Why isn't Al Sharpton out there? Why isn't the NCAAP out there? Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael
Where
Jordan.
are you, Michael?
Where are you, Michael? Yeah.
Well, then, and that's what I said with the Oscars. Where is
NAACP,
Jada
yeah.
Pinkett Smith and Will Smith when black children are being killed? They weren't in Ferguson. They weren't in Florida when Trayvon Martin got murdered. They're not there. They are only yelling racism when, again, they think they're being snubbed. The only thing they can use, they can't say, oh, maybe Will's movie just wasn't that damn good. They have to say, oh, it's a black thing. That bothers me. And I think that's what you're saying, is it bothers you
And the
too.
media-
That whenever something goes wrong for somebody, and it's not just the blacks, it's Hispanic, anybody who can say, I look different. Females, women do it. Try firing a woman from a corporate job and not have her try to say, ooh, sexual harassment lawsuit. You fired me because, you wouldn't treat a man like this. Women do it too. If you can find a reason other than something that's wrong with yourself, that you aren't good enough, that you can't do the job, you will use whatever you can do to excuse your failure. And that's what a lot of these people are doing.
But when you do that as groups and organizations,
Absolutely.
then you
Women
bring,
do it.
Then you bring your whether you're a woman or a
better
person of
believe it.
color, you bring that
Do
organization
you know how
down.
much crap I get from women on my Facebook blog because they say I'm not a feminist, and I say I am not a feminist, that I do still believe that the ideal thing for a woman to do if she's married and has children is to stay home and take care of those children? Oh my God. I am ripped a new one every time I say that. How dare you? Oh my God. I said, I'm not a feminist. I don't think women should serve in the military on the front lines. I don't believe that babies should be raised by strangers. I believe
If a
children should
woman
be
wants
wanted
to
and
serve-
planned for and afforded and taken care of by its parents.
Can she?
So, and it's the same thing. I'm not trying to interrupt you on your thought, but it is a little bit the same. Is that when you are part of a group, like I'm a woman, so women expect me to be a feminist. Women's rights. Women can do anything. Men can do better. And when I refuse to do that, I'm not part of the group anymore. Well, my God, how can you
Right.
say that? What do you
Right.
mean a woman should stay home
But
and
when
take
you-
care of her child?
but when you-
well, I don't know.
but-
It sounds like a good idea.
But when you go against one of these groups that I'm talking about, then you're labeled a racist.
Right. Just like I'm labeled a child hater.
Yeah.
I'm labeled a
I
woman
don't
hater.
think the
of
root
course.
of the BLM when did it form? After Trayvon Martin?
Oh no, Black
No,
Lives
that's been
Matter
around for a
happened after
while.
Ferguson, Missouri. And you
Ferguson.
know what? Wait, we also have to admit one thing. And again,
happened in
it's the
Ferguson?
24-hour news cycle. We are hearing, I mean, these things aren't made up out of whole cloth. There are a lot of incidences where police officers are shooting unarmed people, and unfortunately, the people who are getting shot are not white. So, again, I understand exactly what you're saying, Dwayne, but we do have this situation.
Right, but
to
wait,
make
hold
an
on 1
entire
second.
group say all the cops are evil and they're out to kill our black kids, that's wrong.
But what you're
Very wrong.
But what you're failing to understand is that what you're seeing on the media is what you're talking about right there. You're talking about the white cop shooting the black a black teenager or a black man or whatever. You're seeing that on the news because the news pushes that. The local news stations, there's clips from local news stations that never make it to like Chicago, every day in Chicago there's a murder. Every day in Chicago, there's lots of stuff that goes on around Lancaster that doesn't even make it to WGAL. It
Didn't
doesn't
Michael
it doesn't
Jordan
make
play
it
for
on
the
the
Bulls?
news.
Well, and there's also, I am sure, there are white people, white teenagers, white kids who acted stupid around the cops and got their butts killed, and we don't hear about that at all.
Well, but
we don't
correct.
hear about those people.
Correct. You don't
Right.
hear right because that doesn't fit their agenda. Their agenda is
Well, the other thing is that a
Create
white mother can't go in
division.
front of the cameras and start screaming,
That's why there's
a white cop
two-party
shot
system.
my white teenager because he was white. I mean, white people say, my kid got shot because he was acting stupid.
but
They
but
admit that
I'm not
the
sticking-
child did something wrong.
I'm not going to stick up for the KKK, but I'm going to make a statement on the KKK. Okay?
Oh, please do.
Look, I'm
I yeah.
again, I am not sticking up.
They've
I don't
gotten
stick
some
up,
attention this
I don't
week
stick
with
up for
Mr.
any
Trump.
hate group.
He does not endorse David Duke.
I don't endorse David
Oh,
Duke.
please, God.
Okay.
Nobody
No,
in
no.
this room is endorsing David
Did
Duke
you
or
hear
the
this?
KKK for any reason. Anybody who calls their leader the Grand Wizard, I mean,
listen.
what are we, Harry Potter?
Listen, if we want to Harry
I
Potter.
don't. Donald Trump won't do it, but I disavow David Duke and the KKK. And
like
guess
your
what,
body.
Mr. Trump? I actually know who David Duke was, and I knew who he was, even if you didn't. And believe me, I have no problem disavowing someone who called himself a grand wizard of anything. Go ahead, Dwayne. Sorry about that. I had to bring that up, though.
Ku Klux Klan.
So anyway, like I said, I'm not endorsing any of them hate groups. Neither of them on either side, and I feel the BLM's a hate group.
They are.
Okay,
They hate cops.
I do not endorse any of that. But if those groups, if one's allowed, then the other needs to be allowed. If one's shut down, the other needs to shut down. If one's able to protest in peace, the other needs to be able to silently protest in peace. And what happened out there the other day to those guys, that was completely
Animalistic.
Banned. What happened?
baloney,
Animalistic.
animalistic.
What are you talking about?
You didn't hear about it? The guys that got stabbed with flagpoles.
Though
and-
principally,
at Trump's.
No, it wasn't nothing to do with Trump. It was a KKK
No, I did not.
a
I did not hear about it.
KKK protest, and BLM rolled up on them, and it ended up in people getting killed, and
They were peacefully protesting.
yes. But you can't. Nobody's going to accept that the KKK peacefully protests.
Were they
Yeah,
where they're
because-
wearing their hoods?
they're not necessarily.
Were they wearing their
peacefully
white hoods though?
protesting.
Because
No,
when the
they weren't wearing their white
KKK
hoods.
shows up,
They weren't wearing their white
covering
hoods.
their
Not
faces
usually
in
anymore.
shame.
That's like-
See, that's the other thing I have a problem with the KKK. They were all about in the past, and again, it's in the past, burning crosses. They did terrorize people by putting burning crosses on black churches' property, on black homeowners' property.
Like I said, I
and
don't
they
endorse
covered their
anything that they
faces
do.
with hoods. You know why? Because they didn't want their families to know they were part of the. It was all secret. The Black Lives Matter. They don't wear hoods. They don't cover their faces. They come out and they show they're proud of who they are. My problem with the KKK.
Yeah, because they got nobody standing there saying what they're doing is inappropriate.
You don't believe that the KKK would like it if black people had their own island and didn't exist, whereas the Black Lives Matter simply want black lives to be more respected. I mean, I don't think any of the Black Lives members want all the white people in America to go away.
If you can't respect your own race, if you can't respect your own race, and they don't respect their own race by not sticking up for the black-on-black crime.
Well, the KKK, from what I understand, weren't real thrilled with Jews either. So,
like I said, I don't
And they're
endorse.
white.
Like I said, I don't endorse
Right.
either of them. But you've never seen a KKK people roll up on the BLM people while they're protesting, and it end up in people stabbing people. You've never ever seen that happen.
That's true.
Period.
That's true.
well, I think where were the police? But again, the Black Lives Matter. They don't want the police because they hate the police. The police are their enemies.
Exactly.
So, but the police should be there to protect everyone in these situations. And again, as far as this, I know we all have the right to assemble peacefully wherever we want to, but I do think when you are basically spreading so much hate, I don't know. I'm not going to be popular saying that because that's First Amendment, and I am First Amendment because I'm exercising my First Amendment by being on this show. But as far as I feel is if somebody like that church that used to protest gay funerals of military people because the military started accepting gays. And I forget the church's name. But
Westboro.
yes, Westboro Baptist Church. Thank you, Eric.
Fuckery.
Well, you
Hey,
know
we're not
what?
allowed to say
I
that
think
word.
that is one place, that is one situation where they did not have a right to protest, peacefully or otherwise. You do not have a right to defame or disgrace a person's funeral simply because, and even, they were even protesting people's funerals and the person wasn't even gay. They were just protesting the military and making a mockery out of somebody's funeral, and I thought that was wrong. So, you know what, Dwayne? I think you're right to a point. I think there are times when perhaps some of these groups project so much hate that perhaps they shouldn't be allowed to just walk down our streets and do whatever they want and say whatever they want. As much as I hate saying that, I don't know. The KKK to me is just evil, and it always will be. And
Yeah,
they just are.
and guess what? They were smart enough to speak up against it. But there's a movement going on right now on the other side that could turn into the exact same thing, and it needs to be stopped.
And you're talking about Black Lives Matter.
Yes. I mean, when you have them in the middle of this Trump thing the other day, they had to escort 100 of them out, and as they escorted them out, they were doing this. That's black power. You can't look. I mean, what if you start doing the Heil Hitler at them? You know what I mean? What happens? I mean, if it's not good for one, it's not good for the other. I'm not saying hate for either. I don't condone either. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you can't. We have to stop. We have to cut that off. Nip that at the bud before that turns into like today. I mean, like I said, white people got killed. They were KKK people, but they got killed.
People were killed?
Yeah, they got killed. They got stabbed and killed. Yeah, I mean, they were laying on the. I'm assuming they were dead because they looked dead.
They look dead.
Blood. I mean, as much blood.
Where
as
was this?
Los Angeles.
Anaheim.
Okay.
Anaheim.
Yeah.
Anaheim.
Was it
Okay.
Anaheim?
I mean, that's
Super Tuesday. Who's winning?
Can you imagine if that were turned the other way around? You wouldn't be saying, where was this? You would be saying that would be your top story because that would be what they were flushing you all over the news.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, I was watching the news and all they're talking about is Super Tuesday. They didn't say one word about Anaheim when I was watching the news.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Because that's a big thing.
But I think you do have a good point, is that I think racism runs both ways, first of all.
Yeah.
And I do believe that when we try to blame failures, like I said before, on something about us, that like color of our skin, like, oh, I should get into college because I'm black or I'm Hispanic. That's wrong. I'm a woman. That's wrong.
Right.
And like I said,
right.
I think we should start saying, earn what you have, be the best, and we shouldn't be looking at people's color. And it would be lovely if our country
Exactly.
could become colorblind.
But-
it really
but-
would.
Yeah, but that'll never
Because
happen.
there are bad cops everywhere, there are good cops everywhere. I am sick of hearing, oh, everybody thinks black people are drug dealers and rapists. That's not the truth. I know many drug people who are addicted to drugs, and they're all white. I know racists who are white. I mean, I don't know. I think that sometimes racism is, like you said, it's manufactured. And the media just buys into it. You know, it's a good story, run with it. A crying black woman, oh, my poor black baby.
It's a way to keep
a
us
white
separated.
woman crying over her poor white baby
It-
doesn't get the same playtime.
It's a way to keep
You're right.
everybody separated. As long as they can keep us separated, then there's no way for us to be a team and overthrow this monster that controls us.
That's why there's a two-party system, right, Dwayne?
Yeah, well, that's the next segment. I did want to say something because I was actually asked to write an article for a newsletter, and I did. And part of what I wrote was about this hate, and it's a tree. I compared it to a tree. And where we need to stop the hate is with our children, with what we say around the dinner table, because nobody is born with this kind of hate in their heart. Nobody is born with violence on their mind. It's a tree, and the roots are watered by what they hear, what we hear as we grow up, what we hear in our environment, what we're taught. Hate is taught. The branches are nurtured
I think
by
it's more
others.
I think it's more environmental. I think
Well, I'm telling you that.
Environmental.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Is that
Mental.
when a child is born, they are born not
Mental.
with. They don't hate anyone. They don't know, oh, that's a black person, that's a white person.
Right.
They learn the hate by hearing what the people around them tell them.
Right.
Teachers, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends. In the community.
Or like in my son's case, since we live in the city, my son had a lot of friends when he was little. Now I'm talking, 7 years old. All right, he had a lot of Spanish, a couple Spanish friends, and a couple African American friends, and he was out back playing, and well, I get with one of his African American friends, and a couple of friends of the friend came over, and he and my son ended up getting jumped. These two boys. So that right there was enough for my son to form an opinion that he never ever wants to play or hang around or associate with anything similar to what got him in the situation that he's in.
And that is what is so unfortunate, because you made the comment a few weeks ago about your experience when you worked at a gay bar. And you formed opinions based on that experience about all gay people. And this is what is unfortunate, because most people that I know who are racist, and I do know people who are racist, form that opinion because of one or two bad experiences with people of color or Hispanic. I know that some people were not real thrilled that I was dating a Hispanic man when I met my husband. And then they got to know him, but all of their experiences previously with Hispanic people, oh, they're on welfare, or they're drug dealers, or they're this, or they're that, or they don't speak English. My husband's an American citizen, and his father is Puerto Rican. That's America, guys. He's not, he speaks English, everything's good, very successful, good family. But my husband's family was the first Puerto Rican family that my family ever met who did have jobs, who didn't live on welfare. And that's sad to say that. But you make a very good point, and this is my point too with the article I'm writing. It's actually for Terry Durden, Everyday People, People Every Day. She's doing a newsletter, and it's about stopping the violence in our communities. And I think the way you stop that is by saying, look, if a white child had gotten a group of his friends together and jumped your son, which, by the way, white kids do, would your son not want to hang around white kids anymore?
No, because in that exception, and that has happened too. Listen,
Okay.
that has happened. That's happened. But the difference was when he was jumped by a white kid, the white boy, his white friend, stuck up for him.
Why was there no one to stick up for him when the
That's
African American
what I
children
don't-
beat up
That's what
on him?
I'm not. That's what I don't understand.
Was there someone to stand up for him?
That's what I'm saying. His friend was there, and that's what I'm not understanding. Why his friend didn't stick up for him?
A white friend?
No,
Oh,
an
his black
African American
friend.
friend.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, do you think he was in on it?
In on what?
On the jumping? I mean,
Inside
did
job.
he plan it? Did he say, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with this kid, come
actually,
and beat him up"?
actually, what my son told me is that it was the two boys that did it. That his friend didn't have anything in it. But the thing
that's
is
unfortunate.
that the thing is that the friend should have not
Yes.
sat back. The friend should have jumped in there.
But
and
he was probably needing to go home and live in the same neighborhood
Yeah.
as those kids.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah, and that also is a problem too, is not standing up for your friends, for people you believe in. And that's something else we need to teach our children too, and also to come to an adult and have the adults be there to listen, because I think that's what is missing in our society is children are afraid or they have nobody because the parents are busy, the teachers don't have the time, and there's nobody to go to when they're in trouble. And I do think they should end up sticking up for each other, and that is unfortunate. But I still believe that you don't judge an entire group of people by a bad experience. While I understand why you would, I think that's where we start fixing the issue and healing these wounds and putting poison in that tree of hate and violence by saying it stops here. If you pick on my friend, and this is my friend, I'm standing up for my friend, black, white, orange, yellow, gay, straight, I'm standing up. And if I can't stand up physically, I will go to someone who
Yep,
can.
you know that works. That works.
It works
too.
in
That-
paper, I know.
That works. That philosophy works till somebody gets their ass kicked and
Or shot.
Yeah, and the problem is that for many years, I feel responsible for what happened to my son because I told my son, you don't judge, don't feel nervous. Don't, approach everybody the same way.
Well, I
And-
do hope that your son still believes that he can do that. Because,
Well,
again,
you
one
know, I
bad
gotta-
experience,
I got-
again, it could have been a group of white kids.
You know what? It's not one bad experience though. That's just one of the experiences. There's I could sit here and name you a lot of experiences that went down, and it's sad and it's mind numbing, and to know that my son had to go through that shit, and to know that I could have prevented it by not putting my son in that position by telling him that it's okay.
Well,
And that-
I wouldn't beat yourself up too bad about that, because I can tell you this. I'm as white as they come. When I was a little girl, I was as white as they came. I went to public school. Black kids didn't bother me at all. They were my friends. You know what? You know who bothered me? The white kids, the kids in my church at Sunday school. You know why? Because I was fat, I didn't have a father, and my grandmother was a nutcase. And I was tortured every single day by kids that were supposed to accept me and be my friends. And nobody stood up for me, and I couldn't stand up for myself. And you know what the teachers and my mother and everybody said? Oh, it'll get better when you get older. It's just kids being kids. It's okay to be called a bastard. It's okay to be called a fatty, and all these horrible words that when I look in my mirror, Dwayne, some days, all these years later, 40, 30 years later, I still see that fat little girl that feared for her life to go to school every day. Not because of the black kids, not because of the Hispanic kids, not because of the Asian kids, because of kids that were supposed to be my peers, my group. And they hated my guts because of the way I looked.
Right,
because
but that's
I
just-
was different.
That's
That's why when I see people who have a different skin color or a different ethnicity, I try to step back and walk a mile in their shoes, because I'm not going to judge someone by the way they look, the way I was judged wrongly by my peers growing up. That affected me my entire life.
I'm not saying that it's a life choice or a life issue from one thing. I'm saying that is one
But
thing.
that's how racism starts. One bad experience, and we hate them all.
No, that's not the truth.
I hear people say it.
That's not the truth.
I have people who I know who said, oh, the black kids at McCaskey, they used to carry knives and they used to, like, feel us up in the bathroom, us white girls, and, oh, they were all, And these adult people now, these educated adult people, still do not like black people. They're racist because of that experience in high school.
Then they're not educated. They're uneducated.
Well, they are educated, but they're doing what you just said. They had one bad experience, and they judge an entire group of people by. If I judged all the pretty girls in the world that I meet by the girls I went to school with, I would hate a lot of people. I wouldn't have any friends at all, because when I went to school, all the popular girls tortured me. So if I judged every single person in my adult life by the kids I went to school with, I would have no friends.
Well, correct. But
you can't do that. You
guess
have to
how
grow
many
up
friends I have.
and grow. And
guess how many friends I have.
How many?
Guess how many true friends I have.
Well, okay. How many?
I can count on my one hand. I have 4 true friends. 4 people I could trust with my wallet. He's one of them. 4 people.
Our producer, Mr. Bentley.
Okay.
Who also is a minority.
Thank you. Thank
But you can trust
You're half
me, and I'm
minority.
Greek.
You know, you know what?
You can trust Eric, and he's funny.
I mean, there's, I have, you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying, and you know what they
And there's
say
a
about
reason
that?
for that.
If you have truly good friends you can count on one hand, you consider yourself a blessed man. Because most of the people you meet in this world, they're acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
The good ones are the ones you can count on one hand. We got to take a break. Thank you guys so much. We will be right back. Listen to some awesome music. Thanks again to our sponsor, DL Radio. Remember, you can find us here every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. YouTube. We'll be right back.
They only kill us cause they fear us. What's the difference from being observant and a conspiracy theorist? Connotations created so they don't have to hear us. Created economic divide to ensure they ain't near us. 1965 didn't affirm any action. If you ask me, that was the biggest distraction. They teach us laws of the land, but not laws of attraction. But somehow we've managed to perceive satisfaction from psychological retraction and racial extraction by the most racist faction. How could this happen with no real reaction? To say we're still enslaved is a factual abstraction. They saw holes in the plot, they acknowledged they was lacking. They knew we wouldn't settle, so they had to let the black in more, like let us back in. I think they fit the movement as much as they fit the black men. And if it's truly progress, then how did we manage back in the same predicaments of the past? We've endured it for years, now we're here at last. You can turn the other cheek and grab your burning blast. Since they took off their hoods, I ain't wearing a mask. Oppressors wanna oppress us, but that's just where we contrast. 400 years ahead of us and they still yet to surpass. Our capabilities as beings cause the alchemy's vast. Now they label us terrorists cause they see we've amassed. Despite the fact we're harassed, the difference is we getting shots to the slash. We protest a peaceful manners and we still get the gas. If you ask me, I see the terrorists in your camp. Many see this as hate, it's just a visionary's rant. They only kill us cause they fear us. That's why. What's the difference from being observant and a conspiracy theorist? Connotations created so they don't have to hear us. Created economic divide to ensure they ain't near us. They only kill us cause they fear us. That's why. What's the difference from being observant and a conspiracy theorist? The connotations created so they don't have to hear us. Created economic divide to ensure they ain't near us. We hear forms of oppression used and expressed when a child's worth determined by a standardized test. With a language language known by few are undermining the rest. The importance of our social class is never addressed. Since they can't understand it, they'll just dress to impress. With the future on the line, they'll just guess as they stress. The deception causes special ed, it ain't cause they blessed. This the education system when you black and oppressed. The only goal that they have is subject to arrest. We make requests for freedom when we should've had it possessed. That's why riding and looting's how we're forced to express. If it ain't time for revolution, then what you suggest? They taking money from schools and putting them in the prisons. Manufacturing conditions, trying to kill our ambitions while ignoring inquisition and giving no recognition. We're bringing it to the light like this is the deposition.
This is why America separated from England. The tyranny of King George was too much for them to bear. So what did they do? They decided death is better. So it was Patrick Henry that said, give me liberty or give me death.
They only kill us cause they fear us. What's the difference from being observant and a conspiracy theorist? Connotations created so they don't have to hear us. Created economic divide to ensure they ain't near us.
Okay, we're back. All right, let's talk about this election because I'm going to have to say something here that might make me sound stupid, but probably many of you are in the same position I'm in right now. I follow politics. I follow the elections. I have learned more this year about the true election process than I've ever known before, and probably a lot more than I care to know because it's a little scary to me. And Dwayne's going to help me figure this out because he actually knows more about it than I do. But I remember I used to worry when I didn't watch the elections early in these primaries. I waited till it came down to the Republican, the Democrat, watched the debates, made a decision. This year, because of my job, and I felt I should just be in it from the beginning, I watched everything. And I'm wondering, and I think a lot of you, especially those of you who live here with me in Pennsylvania, we started out with 15, 16, 17 Republican candidates, and now we're down to 5. Probably after tonight, we'll be down to 3. Nobody in Pennsylvania has gotten to cast a vote for anybody who's already dropped out. Maybe you liked Christie. I liked Christie. I sort of had a penchant for Kasich after the last debate because I liked some of the things he said about the rights of gay people to go into bakeries and buy cake. You know, gay person comes in, they want to buy a cake, sell them a cake. If you don't agree with their lifestyle, say a prayer for them. You're selling a service, not your job to pick and choose because we go down a slippery slope. What are you going to do when a divorced person comes in? I don't agree with divorce. My religion says it's bad, it's evil. I'm not going to sell you a cake either. So I like John Kasich for his opinions on that. I like his budgets. I like what he did in Ohio with finances. I don't agree with him on the social issue of choice and women's rights, but again, can't agree with everybody on everything, right? And again, I don't think a president is really going to be able to repeal Roe v. Wade. That's the Supreme Court. That's for another show. My issue with this election cycle is I'm hearing things today that scare me. I'm hearing, as much as I do not like Donald Trump, so I'm not saying this because of Donald Trump. Can't vote for him, would not be able to look in my mirror if I did. But I am hearing, Dwayne and Eric, you can chime in on this as well. I'm hearing today that if Donald Trump wins Super Tuesday, the Republican Party is going to band together and try to make sure he does not end up being the nominee. Now, 2 questions for Dwayne and Eric to debate here, because I'm truly asking the question and I want to learn as well as educate the listeners. First of all, why are a couple of states, Texas, South Carolina, the Super Tuesday states. Why are those states more important than Pennsylvania, than Maine, than Rhode Island, than New Jersey? And don't tell me it's because of the size, because I believe that American voters are Americans wherever they happen to live, and every American should be making these decisions now, before Kasich gets out, before Carson gets out, before Christie got out. We should have had our say as well, and perhaps the numbers would be a bit different. However, we didn't get that chance. We only get to vote after it's down to 2 or 3 candidates. And then we really don't have a choice. What we have is the choice of the lesser of two evils. Who will harm us the least, not who we really want to run our country. So my first question is, why doesn't the entire country get to vote on all the candidates that run for president at the time they're all running, before they start dropping out? Also, how would it work if Trump actually does get this nomination and the Republican Party gets together against the wishes of all the millions of people who are supporting Mr. Trump and saying, well, we don't care who you want for president because the Republican Party hates him.
That'll never happen.
Well, Dwayne, I just
That'll
heard it
never
before
happen.
I came to the show today.
That'll never happen.
The Republican Party is going to
promise you
try to
that'll never
run a
happen.
third-party candidate.
No,
They're already
gonna-
talking
no,
about it.
No,
Rick Perry, they're talking Rick Perry,
No.
and they're
They got to
talking
beat
Mitt Romney.
Gary Johnson first.
Well, they're talking about
would be
Mitt
the third
Romney, which
party.
is ridiculous
That would
because
be
he
the third
couldn't
party
win when he
candidate.
was the
Yeah,
party's
he's gonna get him.
candidate.
That's how
Why
they
they
do
would
it.
get him.
even bring Mitt Romney
He's gonna
into
get him.
this, I don't know, because he couldn't even win when he was the party's candidate. Mitt Romney turned my husband into a Democrat that election. He voted for Obama because Mitt Romney was just so
Mitt Romney, old news.
completely not
Gary
suitable
Johnson
for the
is
job.
the third party candidate.
So, but they are,
Will be.
Dwayne, I heard it before I got here. I had the news on. They are saying if Donald Trump gets the nomination, and they're going to
They're
know
doing
tonight,
that to
which I
scare
think
voters.
it's a little
They're
soon.
trying to scare the voters. That's all.
They're saying the Republican Party will not accept Donald Trump as their candidate. And then we could be looking also at a brokered convention.
Nope, that's not going to happen. Trust me.
Okay. I don't know how you know that because there are a lot of people in the party that do not want Donald Trump.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to. If that happens, it'll cause a revolution, instant revolution. There will be an instant revolution. You just have no idea. No idea.
Well, this is my point. Why is it legal for them to do it? Because they already said they can do it. There's a thing called a brokered convention,
If
which I
Donald
looked
Trump
up, and
doesn't
believe
get
me, if
50%
you guys
of the
don't
vote-
understand what I mean by a brokered convention, trust me, even if you look it up on Google, it's very confusing, and it hasn't happened in a very long time. But basically, it's saying even though someone has the votes from the people, they don't get the nomination. They go into back rooms
It's
and
the
say, well,
electoral
we want
college
someone
when you
else.
vote for
Actually,
president.
I don't approve of that either.
Actually, what it
That's
says.
something to discuss on our November shows.
Actually, what it says, if one of the candidates doesn't get 50% of the vote,
Okay.
then they can have the brokered convention. I guarantee that Donald's going to have more than 50% of the vote. He has 49 already.
And you honestly believe that the Republican Party is not powerful enough to get together and say, we really don't like you. We're going to make sure you don't end up at
That's
the
what
convention
they're-
with our nomination.
That's what they're doing right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking about just that. That's just one of their 50 things that they're doing right now.
It sounds like legally they can say, it's almost like, okay, if you've ever been in a courtroom where the jury comes in with the verdict and the judge says, okay, wait a minute. Thank you, jury, for giving your verdict, but you got it wrong. You made a mistake. The defense was right. The prosecution didn't prove their case. I'm sorry. I forget what it's called, but I'm going to overrule you, and I'm gonna issue a not guilty verdict on your behalf because you got it wrong. Okay? That sounds to me like what the Republicans are trying to say they're going to do if Donald Trump gets the election, the nomination. They're going to say, "Hey, America, you're idiots. You got it wrong.
Right.
We don't want Donald Trump.
Right.
We're better off for our party.
But guess what?
We're going to put Marco Rubio.
Guess
in
what? Guess what? Donald Trump is not going to stand for that. Trust me.
Is there anything he can do about it?
Certainly is.
Okay.
There certainly is. Yeah.
Well, now
He's got the
you
best
just
lawyers
did.
in the world.
You gave me and then we're going to be looking at: is that good for the country to have another Gore Bush?
It's great for Gary Johnson because they'll all be distracted and everybody.
Why
will be
don't
like,
you tell our listeners
this
who
guy.
Gary Johnson is, Eric? I don't think many people know who he is, but you really are in love with this guy.
Jeez.
You should be his. Are you his campaign
I'm
manager?
gonna be his delegate here in PA.
Are you his campaign manager?
I am his self-appointed.
All right, tell us a little bit about
spokesperson.
Gary Johnson.
He's the former governor of New Mexico. He left New Mexico with $1 billion surplus when he left governor. He's a handyman, paid his way through college, owned a business, was a businessman, which y'all want a businessman.
What are his
Blah, blah,
politics?
blah.
What's he going to do for our country?
He wants to end. My phone's dead. He wants to end the federal income tax.
I'm all for that.
He
I like him already.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. He climbed Mount Everest. He called
Every
Donald
president
Trump a
needs to do that.
pussy.
Oh, that works for me.
No,
I'm
and
starting to like this guy. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do some research on Gary Johnson and actually do a segment about him next week?
Yeah, my phone's dead.
Next week?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, our next show.
Well, Dwayne will stump for Trump. I'll stump for Gary.
And you know what? I'm this
still
poor
go for
little
Christie.
this poor little old lady out here that still wishes Chris Christie was in it and that John
Convince you.
Kasich had a chance, because I have a really bad feeling that
Gary
come
Johnson
November
says-
I'm going to be lost because I'm going to have nobody I can
So,
vote for
do
and
you want
look
an
in my
answer
mirror.
to question one?
And I
Police
do
the
actually. I
world.
think our listeners deserve an answer because we're running out of time here,
world.
and
Okay,
I think
question
we
one.
should know about why so few states get to make such a huge decision for all of us. By the time we get to vote, we didn't make the real decisions. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Because in the after the Civil War, they did not figure everything out properly. That's why. And the vote, the South doesn't have enough influence if everybody votes on the same day. That's just
Is that well? Okay, I guess I'm going to use the F word, fair. That doesn't seem fair to me that we are saying that the South has more of a right to select our candidates than we do.
Well, no, it's the unfair part is that the most people that live in the South don't live. The demographics are different. I'll put it that way. I'm trying to be polite.
Oh, I know what you're saying because, well, the candidates are saying it. Look at how Hillary Clinton, look at both. All right. I get what you're saying. And, Dwayne makes a really good point. Are you leaving us, Eric? Well, let's all say a big thank you to Eric for sitting in. Thank you, darling.
Gary Johnson.
Okay, what I did want to say about that is, nothing gives what you're saying about demographics more than the Democratic candidates. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, when they were in Iowa and New Hampshire, they talked about one whole different set of topics. The second they were in South Carolina and Nevada, all of a sudden, Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. Look, there's a lady in the audience. Her poor son was killed by a white police officer. They didn't talk about that in New Hampshire.
Right, exactly.
They want that black vote, and guess who got it? It was Hillary Clinton because they love Bill. They love her husband because Bill Clinton always was the African American and Hispanic votes went to the Democrats. And I want to say this very sadly as well. And again, not to be prejudiced in any way, but the Democrats are more for entitlements. And that was a topic I had wanted to discuss. We got a little off topic, but it was good topics tonight. We will talk about it in the next show. But as far as entitlements go, I think that is why the minority vote usually goes to the Democrats. Why the Hispanics and the blacks, and they vote for the people who give them the most free stuff. And it's sad because, believe me, I've said this before, and don't be tweeting me. I don't read that crap. I'm no racist. I know a lot of white people who vote Democrat too because they're on the welfare, they're on the food stamps, they're having kids they can't afford. But in the past, the minority communities do vote for the Democrats. And I do believe it is because the Democrats, the Republicans are more, you get out, you do a good job, you get rewarded. You don't do a good job, you get nothing. We don't care what you look like. The Democrats are like, well, you know, we feel bad, you know, all that slavery stuff from 300 years ago. You can go to college. We'll take care of you. You know, you can have a baby. We'll pay for it. It's good. And I hate that. And that's why, being a Democrat my whole life, I am really sad to say I think I'm getting ready to leave the Democratic Party because my husband and I can no longer afford to be a Democrat.
There you go.
So
I've heard people say that.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of people like me. I know several friends of mine, too, who work hard, have kids. And please, don't call me a child hater, because I know people who have children who are in the same boat that my husband and I are. They used to vote Democrat for the women's rights, for the gay rights, because they have gay family members. We can no longer afford to do that because they're seeing their health insurance go up. They're seeing their children robbed of opportunities because it's being given to people who are not earning it. And they're tired of it. They're tired of working harder, getting less, seeing people work not at all, and getting as good or more than what they have, and they're paying for it. And we're all tired. So, you know what? It's sad to say it's 7 o'clock, shortest hour of the day. Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you will please give us your comments. You can always reach me at www.facebook.com/politicalpaula, Twitter @politicalpaula. So please don't forget, you can watch us after the show. This will be streaming live. Well, it's streaming live now, and it'll be streaming all week. You can just go in and watch it anytime you want at your leisure. We hope you do. Please send your comments. We read them. We enjoy them. So stay tuned, stay informed, be well, have a great night, and a better tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Fly ass nigga. Woo.
Riding around cause I'm getting it. Yo, side of town cause I'm getting it. Top down cause I'm getting it. I'm hot now cause I'm getting it. I take it down cause I'm getting it. Better place now cause I'm getting it. Be safe now cause I'm getting it. Can't wait now cause I'm getting it. Just a young nigga flexing.